Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 49 of the Civil Gore podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm your host, Brian. And the winner is La La Land. Oh, sorry. No, that's not it. Sorry. Got that one completely wrong.
Oh, man. But we're at the penultimate episode.
Yes.
Before our 50th blowout celebration, which I was thinking about whether we should even have a 50th episode celebration, because typically you wait till your 100th. But I was like, yeah, you know, that 50 is a big milestone for something we never even dreamed would go past maybe 2 episodes. We had no idea.
I mean, we knew we'd start off strong, but we didn't know how long we could keep it up. But I'm proud of us, I have to say. Yeah,
now technically it's more than 50 episodes because we've had minisodes, we've had commentary tracks. Right. So we're probably, but as far as official episodes, next week will be officially the 50th. And that's going to be a big one.
We got lots of plans, excitement.
But I was surprised that the 49th episode was as big as it was. Because I watched 10 films this week.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the biggest episodes where we did combined watching of a lot of movies. Yeah,
and it's almost a good thing that we're not going to go into spoilers for our feature movie, The Lodgers, because I don't think we would have enough time. We'd be like 2.5 hours.
Oh, God.
If we were really going to go scene by scene.
Yeah.
That should be a fairly quick discussion. Most of the show is probably going to be first chop and DISCMEMBERMENT.
Yeah, and plus, Lodgers is such a good movie. I mean, we'll get into it obviously later, but it was such a good movie. It's one of those you really don't want to spoil anything for anybody. You want them to watch it. I mean, we'll say some of the basics that we liked about it, but it's definitely not one you want to go into scene by scene anyway.
Well, let's get right into it with our first chop. All right, Brian, I don't know how you want to tackle this list, but I was gonna start off with my backlog project because I really put a dent in it.
Yeah, you did. I don't know. Did you not leave in front of the television basically all weekend between the Oscars and all these movies you watched and you went away somewhere? So you went to the zoo and
we went to the aquarium to see the Wiki Watchy mermaids.
Were they on tour? Are they on tour from that place in Florida?
Yeah, it's the real ones.
Did they swim or were they transported like in Splash, like in one of those things?
Well, my daughter, and spoiler alert, mermaids aren't real. But my daughter,
not?
Yeah, sorry. But my daughter, who is a firm believer in mermaids at age 8, she still firmly believes that they are real creatures. So she got a front row seat to this thing. So she was right in front of the aquarium and the mermaids swimming around, and I talked to her after the thing. I said, "Did you like the mermaid? Wasn't that cool? It was a real mermaid." And she goes, "I could actually see her feet." So apparently the costume was a little, at the bottom, it had a lot of frills and stuff, but it did not actually cover up her feet all the way. And then she also said, and plus mermaids don't have to breathe from a hose. So
that is true. You could have teased her that it was a microphone or something, maybe.
Yeah. Well, she to her credit, she did go meet the dryland mermaid that was like in the auditorium, and she said that mermaid was real because she checked, and it was all fish from the waist down.
Oh, so okay, there you go.
She was firmly convinced the dryland mermaid was the real thing.
Well, that's good.
So that's good.
Yeah. So there's still some fantasy left in the childhood.
A little,
yeah.
It's kind of sad to see them start realizing the reality of the world and kind of losing that childhood magic, but kids grow up, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, soon she'll be into the horror mermaids, right? The killer mermaids.
Yeah, there you go. But my son is the exact opposite. He is skeptical about everything. He doesn't believe in Disney mascot, anything like any characters dressed up. He's like, yeah, that's a person in a suit. He figured that out on his own. I asked him when we went to Disney World, and we were standing in line for Goofy, and I said, are you excited to get Goofy's autographs? And he said, that's not really Goofy. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, his face is plastic. So
that's my little buddy. I know. See?
Yeah, he's too smart. Okay, so the Backlog Project. Well, we started off with a trio of Universal horror movies. The first one was House of Dracula, which is on literally every box set, I believe. Because
I think so, yeah.
It's got Frankenstein, it's got Dracula, it's got a woman hunchback, which is odd. All kinds of it was one of those that Universal was like, oh wow, people like these movies, so we're gonna just throw everybody in there. And they were kind of geared towards kids, so they're not of the same quality, obviously, as the original Universal horror movies, the monster movies. But they were kind of like an all-star. Like watching an all-star game.
So was this actually a hunchback woman or like a hunch breast woman? Like did they?
No, she was full hunchback in a
okay.
nurse's outfit. So
Interesting.
if that's your thing,
Yeah, I'm sure there's
House of
someone
Dracula.
out there that's a fetish for, but
so that one was not quite up to par, but it's still a Universal horror movie. I mean, it's worth watching for that alone. The next one up was of course the original Wolfman, which is a classic. Lon Chaney Jr., blah, blah, blah. It still holds up. It's still one of my favorites. And then the last one was Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which again is on every disc.
I know. And I think I have a single disc version of it on DVD somewhere too.
I literally own this movie 4 times now, I think.
Oh my God.
But it's obviously it's hilarious. Abbott and Costello. I'm always been more of a Laurel and Hardy fan. I like the older that's going way back when you get Laurel and Hardy.
Oh yeah.
But if you're talking about comedy duos, I've always been kind of more of a Laurel and Hardy fan. But it's still a great movie.
Yeah, but Tim and Brian beats them all in terms of comedy duos, I think.
Well, that's true. True enough. But the great thing about this one is it brings back Bela Lugosi as Dracula.
Bela Lugosi. You have to.
Bela Lugosi,
Yeah.
and you've still got Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman. So you get like this reuniting of these classic stars. So that's why that holds up as a classic film,
Nice.
and why it definitely deserves inclusion on these box sets, even though it's more of a comedy. Man, I'm getting out of breath. Jeez, I still just barely got through the list.
My
Okay.
God, Tim's out of shape from his backlog now.
I know. Well, I had to run upstairs to get ready for the podcast.
See, that's what happens when you sit in front of the TV all weekend. Now you're out of
my
breath
God,
discussing
yeah,
it.
Now I'm a freaking couch potato.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one up was Don't Breathe. This was the film from a couple years back where the kids break into the blind man's house.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I really like that one. I didn't see it in the theater, but I remember it got a lot of hype, and then I bought it when it came out on Blu-ray. I watched it again because I had not seen it since it had first come out. And when I'm going through my backlog, I generally have a rule that if I've seen the film in the past year, I don't have to watch the Blu-ray again to count it.
That's fair.
But in this case, I kind of wanted to because even though I think I've watched it more recently than a year ago, I kind of wanted to watch it again. And it still holds up. It's really, really good. I really liked it. I can't wait to listen to the commentary for that one because I think it'd probably be pretty interesting.
Well, who does the commentary? Is it the usual, like the director and the actor? Or?
Yeah, so the commentary is done by director, co-writer, and actor Stephen Lang.
Oh, is he the blind guy in it? Because that would be great if it was him in there, because he'd just be going, in this scene, the director told me I can't see, so I look left, and then I look right.
Yes. Yeah, he is the blind man.
Yes.
Yes.
That's awesome.
But I don't know why he talks like a pirate.
I don't know, but he has that look. He has for some reason I have this weird thing, and it when we get into the discussion of Revelation Trail, this comes true. Something about gray bearded gentlemen that look like that in my head always are going to talk like that. I don't know, like
They're
that
always gonna
Sam
be pirates.
Elliott kind of a thing, or the Chris Christopherson, they just like, well, and there's all that grumble and grizzle,
It's your Quint obsession.
It must be, yeah. Seriously. But now I want to hear this guy. You're gonna laugh if that's what he sounds like.
Yeah, I hope he does. That would make the commentary much more interesting.
It would. If not, I'll do my own for you. Actually, that would be an interesting. I know we do our commentary tracks, but a fun experiment would be to us to actually take a movie and do our own commentary as if we were doing a commentary for it, not just watching it.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
Yes, that might be something.
Yeah, we do that for one of our Blu-rays.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll pretend we made the film and we're discussing how we made it.
Exactly. So, all right. So, listeners out there, pick a film you think Tim and I would do justice in that way, and then let us know because that'll be funny.
What do you even call that? Like
Oh God.
fake director's commentary.
I wouldn't even. Yeah, I don't. Has it ever been done? we could be
know.
the first ever.
You just invented a whole new genre of. You invented a whole new thing.
I did.
That's
see?
awesome.
Look at that. Civil Gore just keeps on giving. I tell you.
Yeah, it's amazing what beer can do.
Yes, it does. And I am drinking a good one, but I cannot reveal it now because it's our beer pairing. So I am enjoying our beer pairing beer, which is a rarity on this show. We don't always get to do that. I mean, I know recently I did with the Valentine one, but we haven't really done it on any kind of regular basis. So this is a rarity, I think. Definitely more on the rare side.
I'm doing the coffee IPA by Sierra Nevada, No Middle Ground.
Ooh. That's
you
had me a coffee IPA, but then that I know it's at least a reputable brewery and not like some like strange brewery doing it. You know it's gonna.
Yeah,
be good.
It's really really good. Which coffee and beer sounds like it would not go together, but somehow it does.
No, there's a couple of good ones like not Two Roads. Well, they do make one too, but 6 Point, the one that I got you and Kev hooked on. They make a great, it's like a 5 bean or something it's called. I forgot the actual name of it now. I'll have to look that up. I'll get it to you. But yeah, they make a really good coffee one that I think it comes out in the fall, though. I don't think I can get it now or I'd bring it next time I saw you guys. But I'll keep an eye out because I know you guys like your 6 Point.
Yeah, definitely. The next one up was another from the Paul Naschy collection, so I'm almost finished with that box set. This was the fourth film? Can't remember.
Well, I know you did 2 in 1 week, and I think you did 2 last week. So yeah, there should be 5.
Yeah. So, but Human Beast is not really a horror film. It's more of a, I don't know. It's kind of like a crime thriller or something. This was my least favorite in the set so far. By far, was my least favorite. So, but it's still got one of those crazy, fascinating stories. So Paul Naschy plays this like assassin that works for some kind of, it's kind of unclear, but he's some kind of assassin that works for some kind of organization.
Well, that clears it up.
Well, that's about as clear as it is in the movie, too. And he is asked to go on this diamond heist, and he winds up double-crossing everybody. And so he takes the diamonds, and he shoots everyone, and then he escapes, but he gets shot as he's escaping, and I'm not giving a lot away because this all happens like in the first 20 minutes of the movie.
They tend to happen in Paul Naschy movies.
Yeah, I know. They pack a lot of story in.
Yeah.
So he wakes up in this house, which of course contains 2 beautiful women who are sisters and the dad, I guess, who lives with them, and an assortment of farm hands and assistants and servants and stuff. And he seems to always wind up in these places that butcher pigs. I don't know why, but the last 2 movies has featured pig butchering.
Maybe he's a fan of pork.
I guess. So now you have the girl that he double crossed, who was his lover, but he and also worked for the organization, but he double crossed her. Now she's determined to get revenge and kill him. So you've got this, and then. So now people start showing up at the house dead, and there's a killer killing people, and I don't know, it's really bizarre. It's a very strange movie.
Now, I know this may be a strange question considering the guy's name is Paul Naschy, but does he ever play like a heroic character, or is he always like this vile person?
He always played, and that's interesting because I was reading the collector's booklet, and they said something like he always identified with his characters, especially the more evil ones, like especially that one, the first one, and the very first one I covered. I can't even remember the name of it now, but the very first Paul Naschy film I covered where he was like the devil reincarnated, like he always identified with that. So he loved playing these bad, evil people.
Now more and more I want that Paul Naschy biopic we discussed.
I know, but he's always puts himself in a position where he gets to make love to beautiful women. So yeah, I guess he had thought this whole plan out.
Yeah, seriously, he's a smart guy, I guess.
Because he's not really a looker. He's kind of pudgy and he's kind of squat. I don't know. He's just kind of like he doesn't look like your typical leading man.
Yeah. So he's kind of got the George Costanza thing, right? So he's like this chubby guy. He tries to mix sex with beautiful women along with a smoked meat, with all these pigs. So
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so he's got now, and he probably watches a Paul Naschy movie in the background to get the trifecta.
Yeah, maybe get Jason Alexander to play him.
There you go. Yeah, that could be older Paul Naschy, and Jack Black will play younger Paul Naschy.
Yeah, there you go.
See, look at this. We just solved problems already. So now the producers literally just have to shell out the money, and then we're ready to go.
The last one on my backlog project was not a film. It was a commentary. And as you know, I don't typically mention the commentaries on the show because I don't figure, most people don't really care. And I'm just going back over films that we've already covered and we've already seen. But I had to point this one out. This was the commentary for Christine. And it featured the lead actor and John Carpenter.
Oh, Keith Gordon, right? He was
Keith Gordon. Yeah, it's Keith Gordon. Sorry. This was one of the best commentaries I've listened to in weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I listened to a lot of commentaries.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's like saying something, too, you know?
Yeah. John Carpenter has always had this reputation, at least from my gathering, of kind of being a little grumpy and cantankerous. And this commentary puts that to rest. He is so charming in this. He's so friendly. He's so self-deprecating. And he and Keith Gordon just banter like old buddies and go through the film. And it's fascinating. You learn, from John Carpenter's side, you learn his little directing tricks. You learn different little trivia about different scenes. And from Keith Gordon's perspective, you get the actor's side, but he also does some directing, so he could talk intelligently about filmmaking. It's just a really, really great commentary. And it's kind of funny. I had just watched that today, and then I read an article that they're looking at possibly remaking this film.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, I think I shared the tweet too on our Twitter account. I saw that. Yeah, they said that was that and something else, another one they were thinking of remaking. That'd be interesting.
That could be interesting. I love Christine as it is.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that I think you could remake. I would not have a problem with them trying to remake that one, I don't think.
No, because you know what? It was great, but it's not something that's so like sacred at the same time where, why not,
Yeah, if you told me you're going to remake a John Carpenter film, I would say, well, don't touch Halloween, don't touch The Thing, which they already have. Don't touch The Fog, which they already have. I mean, they've remade all his good films, and they've all been terrible. But Christine's one that I could see them easily remaking that and possibly making a better film.
Yeah,
possibly.
It could be. Yeah, it'd be interesting. We'll have to see. We'll keep an eye on that one.
Okay, so next up was me and Brian watched literally the scariest film ever put on Netflix. It was so scary. There was people literally having to turn off their Netflix, unplug the cable to their house, call their cable company, turn off the cable, because they were so terrified that this movie was going to somehow still get into their eyes somehow. Like through Wi-Fi or something, it was going to come through Netflix and beam straight to their brain because it was so terrifying. They could not believe it. There was people dropping dead of heart attacks. Netflix is probably going to get sued for putting something so scary on their service.
Yes. According to Netflix.
And that was, of course, Veronica.
Yeah. So, yeah, as you could tell by our tongue-in-cheek approach of that, yes, that was how they were promoting this film, which I will say, at least, I'll tell you, it definitely got us interested. It piqued our interest. So it... the
marketing worked.
Yeah, the marketing worked. I mean, but I heard this thing with the Babadook. We hear this thing with the upcoming Hereditary. We heard Raw, the most disgusting... Yeah, I mean... Listen, it's all those things are hype. Now, and I'm not trying to, this has nothing to do with the actual movie yet. We're not going to, we'll go into what we thought of it, but yeah, it's so funny. These I guess there's some people that buy into it. I just wanted to see it because I kind of had a feeling like I almost went in to say, okay, I'm going to disprove this. It's not obviously going to be the scariest thing. It's like challenge accepted, but yeah, I'll say it definitely, obviously, even for average horror fans, or just people that will watch horror movies occasionally, this is not a movie that is going to terrify you to the point of where you need to run out of the room or shut off your cable or whatever you need to do.
I think somebody summed it up pretty good. They said, yes, this is the scariest horror movie made if you've never seen a horror movie.
Right, yeah, maybe for someone that's never seen one, yeah. I mean, but it that's not a knock on the movie. I thought it was fantastic, actually. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's just not, okay, obviously, because it's funny, because I told my sister-in-law we have this funny thing going, so she likes to hear about horror movies. She read it and saw it, but there's so many movies where she'll read about it and she doesn't, like, basically I've explained the entire series of Paranormal Activity. She hasn't seen a bit of it, but I've explained it all to her, and that's good enough for her. So with this one, I kind of texted her and my brother, and I said, okay, so this is what they're saying on it. You should watch it. It's actually really good. You can handle it. And she says, yes, but she goes, but what about for the regular person? You watch horror movies. You do a podcast kind of thing. Like, are you, what about the average person? And it's funny because I do the same thing with hot sauce because I could eat like the hottest peppers and every crazy thing. And so I said, it's okay. It's hot. But then like Julie will say, she goes, yeah, but hot for you or hot for someone else,
Yeah.
So, and I go with this too, but I did say, yeah, I said, it's definitely scary for an average person, but it's a really good film. It's really well done. They do a lot of cool, like there was one camera trick they did, like where she kind of sat up out of the bed, but it kind of like the camera kind of floated around, and so she looked like she just kind of like warped up, even though it was just totally a practical effect. I don't think there was any kind of camera trick other than a rotation of the camera. It was just really well done, and it just had a lot of good imagery to it, I thought. And it was kind of dark and now there is subtitles. We should warn you, it's subtitled.
Yeah, it's a Spanish film. It's
Right.
by the same guy that did REC, or how you pronounce that,
Right.
record, REC. It's about 3 kids who basically get involved with a Ouija board.
Antonito! Sorry, they keep yelling that throughout the movie.
Yeah, and I try to summon, or basically she wants to speak to her dead father.
Right.
So, and then they let something dark into their house. So you can imagine the premise itself is very terrifying.
Right.
And so it's really good. It's a really good setup. If you like supernatural stuff, which I think is the scariest of all horror stuff.
Oh,
personally, the supernatural stuff blows away. I'm not scared of vampires. I'm not scared of monsters. I'm not scared of slasher stuff, really. But man, you put even though I don't really buy into the whole demonic possession stuff, you start putting ghosts and things like that in a movie, and that's what gets me. That's my weak spot.
Oh yeah, and this one is it. And I got news for you. The main actress that starred in it, I think she played younger than she is, but I think she could be a good for horror. She had a really good, like, I guess, but horror technique. I don't know if that's a term, but she seemed to play it really well. Like, she was really sullen a lot of the movies and played it well. And then when she had to scream, boy, did she scream.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these giant close-ups of teeth and mouth as she screamed into the camera. It was really, and it was just well done. And I gotta say, that little kid, how old could he have been? And he seemed pretty good actor for a little kid.
The kids are fantastic in this
Yeah.
movie. They're really, really, and there's not a whole lot of adult involvement in this movie. It really centers around the kids.
No, in fact, that's the main theme, is that I think the reason why, she feels so alone, because she's like kind of losing out on her teen years by having to take care of her younger siblings, because her mom I guess she owns a bar or something's out, and so she works like crazy hours and is never there.
Yeah.
So she's got to get up, get the kids to school, make sure they're fed, make sure they're all happy. I mean, I think the little kid, he's still little enough that he still wets the bed kind of thing. So, I mean, he's got, it's like she's got a lot of responsibility. So it's like, you can, and that's what I think was cool about this. They kind of really, really feel the motive on why she would do such a thing. Like, she's kind of like a desperate situation at that point.
Yeah. So check that one out on Netflix. It's
Yeah.
definitely one of the ones that's come out recently it's well worth your time.
Yeah, I mean, right now Netflix and Amazon, just you're getting a lot of great streaming stuff is out there. It's really good.
Well, your comment about wetting the bed actually made me forget one that I saw.
Oh, no.
I actually missed one on my Backlog Project, and that was Seed of Chucky.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know if you remember this movie, but Chucky's kid wets himself when he gets scared. But what a bizarre film, and I'm not going to go too far into it because we're going to cover it extensively in our Slaycation this summer.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much you recall about this one, Brian.
I barely remember it. I'm actually doubting if I think I may have even seen only pieces of it, like on cable or something.
I barely remembered it, but basically when we left off with Bride of Chucky, Tiffany had a baby, and so basically a baby Chucky comes out of her. Well, when we pick up with Seed of Chucky, that baby has grown into this hideous, really hideous looking doll, and he has been growing up in a circus sideshow thing, and so he has a British accent. It's so weird.
It's like, Mumsy, I wet my pants again.
It is. It literally is. Because he was raised by this like British guy that uses him as like the world's greatest ventriloquist because the doll's alive, right? And what's so crazy is they did like what they did with Wes Craven's New Nightmare. They made it meta. So Jennifer Tilly plays herself in the movie.
Oh, interesting.
And basically the Tiffany and Chucky that they're using to make movies now are actually the real Tiffany and Chucky, and then they come back to life. So it's
okay. I don't remember that. Maybe I didn't see this one.
It's crazy. It's so bizarre, but a lot of people think of this as one of the weaker in the franchise because it goes so off the rails. But in terms of just the movie itself, it is so insane. I don't know how you could not like it on some level. It is so crazy.
Well, that's that. If you notice, those franchises, they kind of do the same thing. They all at one point they all do the like almost like the meta version of where things are, like the world knows what's going on, to some degree. I mean, it kind of a little bit with Jason Goes to Hell kind of a thing. I mean, it wasn't the same. Like we weren't talking about a Friday the 13th movie, but they were talking about like Jason as if it was a commonplace of the world knew who he was and accepted that he was always alive and coming back from the dead kind of thing. You had the New Nightmare. You had this. Next thing Chucky's got to do is go to space, though. He's got to maybe the next one in the TV series. He'll go to space.
I think it was smart that they followed this film up with Curse of Chucky, which was basically a reboot, essentially, of the franchise. Because I don't think you could have out-topped the bizarreness. Like this is where the whole franchise could have literally gone completely off the rails. So they did a reset with Curse, which I think is good because it kind of gets everything back to a little more serious because it was getting a little crazy. But that doesn't take away from how fun this movie was. Right.
I mean, they've done it how many times with Texas Chainsaw Massacre now? five different resets. I mean, so. All
right. Well, going back, I messed up the perfect segue because we were talking about Amazon Prime.
Right.
Well, we were contacted by a couple of filmmakers who wanted us to talk about their films that are available right now on Amazon Prime. Yes. If you want to go see them. And so we'd like to spend a few minutes talking about those. The first one up was Dark Forest.
Yes, which I saw a while ago. I don't remember it. It's clear, so I'm glad we got to watch it again because I had seen it early on when we were doing the podcast when we were watching a lot of stuff. So I definitely wanted to revisit it. So I'm glad I did.
Yeah, this one clocks in at just a little over an hour. It's not very long. And it's billed as kind of an 80s throwback, which I think they capture the feel of that pretty well.
Oh yeah, no, it's got the total 80s horror tropes in there, It's like, I mean, down from the camping in the woods to a lot of blood, a lot of like scantily clad women, it's got all that in it.
The interesting thing about this one is that it revolves around a young woman who is in an abusive relationship with her boyfriend, and her friends are basically telling her, hey, ditch this guy, come camping, we'll have a good time. And that kind of sets up, not without giving anything away, that kind of sets up the driving plot of the movie.
Right.
And, it's definitely below budget. It's an indie film, so go in with that expectation. And I'll talk about what I loved about the movie in a second. I will go ahead and get my criticisms out of the way. I did think it was a little slow-paced. Even for an hour-long movie, I thought it took a little bit of time to get to the action. So the pacing was a little off for me, but I did love the kills.
Yeah, the kills were actually really good in this.
They were really good for the budget and what they had to work with. I mean, I thought the kills were outstanding.
Yeah, no, the kills were really good in this. They had a lot of they did a lot of it was definitely creative ones too. It wasn't your average just like repetitive same kill, and there was an extra vicious quality to him. I think because you knew the character who was doing it, there was no mystery. So I think that kind of adds a dynamic to it because you're like what this guy is, he's kind of crazy, it's established it, so it's not this mysterious who it is, who it is, and I think that benefits. They could just go on and you can start showing great kills without having to worry about any kind of mystery to it.
Right, I actually like that. It made this movie unique among slasher films because you're not dealing with some supernatural monster or a guy in a mask. You're dealing with what is actually really scarier, which is a deranged individual. And I won't give away who's who, but suffice it to say, it definitely is a different take on a slasher film, in that the villain is a lot more grounded and realistic.
Yeah, and there's some real there's some struggles in it. Not to give it away, but it's not like, I mean, he goes in there not alone at first, it's kind of an interesting dynamic.
But yeah, go check this one out. It's not a big chunk out of your day because, like I said, it only clocks in at a little over an hour. And like I said, I had a few issues with some of the pacing and stuff, but the kills are really, really good, and it's kind of a unique twist on slasher films. It's worth checking out.
And some lovely ladies in there.
Yeah. And the next one up we were asked to look at was a film called Revelation Trail. Now, this is another indie film, low budget. And when I say, I'll have to step back and say, when I say indie film, low budget, I do not mean that in any way as a slight to the filmmakers or to or to indie film, because as you know, Brian and I support that 110%.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I just say that because when you are reviewing an indie film or a low-budget indie film, particularly in the horror genre, you have to compare it to others in that same category. Because you can't, just like any film, you can't compare a $30,000 film to a $30 million film or a $300 million film. So you have to go in with that kind of mindset, and I actually like watching these indie and lower budget films to see, because they have to be creative. They're forced to be creative. I mean, Halloween was an indie low budget film.
Yeah, no, and they have more challenges obviously than the studio films, because they have, I mean, I wouldn't say anything has an unlimited budget, but you definitely have, especially for a horror movie, usually have more than they'll need to work with for these. So it's like for an indie filmmaker, they really have to use their budget wisely, and they can get it's nice to see the creativity involved, because they really have to work with what little they might have.
Right. So that brings us to another film we were asked to look at, which was Revelation Trail. Now, when I first saw the synopsis for this one, I was like, there's no way this was made on an indie budget, because it is a zombie western.
Yeah.
And you typically don't see that kind of genre in indie films because it's expensive. You've got to have costumes, you got to have props, you got to have sets. I mean, it's not like you can go film this in your backyard and make people believe this is the Wild West, right?
Right.
So what I was very skeptical going in that this was going to be in any way, shape, or form a good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed this one.
Yeah, same here.
It's amazing what they pulled off for the budget they had to work with and what they had to work with. It's a really neat take on, and you know me, I'm burned out completely on zombie films.
Right.
But this is a really neat take on zombies, seeing them in the Old West. I don't know why more people haven't done it, actually.
And I was thinking as I'm watching this, because, Tim and I, obviously, we've mentioned many times, we're big theme park and haunt fans. All I could think of is what a great haunt this would make. Like a wild western zombie town walkthrough haunt. Because it's like, you got the feel of it when you're watching this. It was actually just a really cool thing to see. You got like... how many westerns have you seen, right? And how many zombie films have you seen? But you haven't seen many western zombie films, I'll tell you that.
No. And it's a cool idea, because think about it. You can almost think about, like, what if this really happened and it just kind of got lost to history and nobody knew about it?
Right, yeah.
They somehow defeated all the zombies and then you never knew it was lost to history, and then somehow this outbreak really happened at one time. Yeah, this one was actually really entertaining. It's a long movie for an indie film. It's almost 2 hours.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, but it doesn't drag. It goes.
No, it doesn't. Like I said, I had a few problems with pacing with Dark Forest. This one I had no problems at all. It was entertaining through and through. And man, props to Daniel Britt, who plays Marshall Edwards.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's that grizzled guy I've told. He nailed it perfectly.
I love that character.
Yeah.
I loved the portrayal. It was fantastic.
He like literally could have been put in some of the best westerns you've seen, and you wouldn't blink an eye because he was that good. It was so authentic.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to act surprised.
Yeah.
So surprised, like, oh, no low budget movie could ever, compare to any high. But I don't mean that at all. I'm just saying I'm pleasantly surprised, because I've watched a lot of low budget indie films, and more often than not, you come away a little disappointed. Let's just be frank. There's a lot of bad garbage out there. This is not one of them. It's a really entertaining movie, really cool theme, really good performances. So I would definitely check that one out. Revelation Trail.
No, and what I think was so good about this is because, like Tim said, when he heard the description of it, that's really ambitious project,
Yes.
And the fact that they nailed it. I mean, they flat out nailed it. The zombies did not look cheap. The sets did not look cheap. I mean, that one sequence when they're like all holed up into that corral area, that looked authentic. Like, you could really see that was a place that could have existed. I mean, I don't know where they filmed it, but I'll tell you the set design for an indie film. I mean, wow. It's like,
bravo. My hat's off to them. They did an amazing job with a very small budget. I was impressed.
Yeah, no. So definitely check both that out, and check Dark Forest and Veronica out too, because like I said, we watched a lot this week. Tim obviously more than me, but with his backlog. But for the 3 we watched for the podcast, though, it was 3. It was like 3 like really entertaining movies. So it's pretty good. We had a good week there.
Yeah, and I saw one theatrical release. I did go see Annihilation Friday night.
Tim left the house. No, actually, Tim leaves the house a lot. He goes around.
Yeah. I get around.
Yeah.
Annihilation, I went into expecting more fantasy, sci-fi-ish. I wasn't totally not going in there for any kind of horror aspect, because I'd only seen the one trailer. And to me, it didn't look particularly scary. But let me tell you, and I tweeted this out, there's actually a lot of horror elements to this movie. So if you've been on the fence because you only watch horror films, God forbid, and you don't, you're not really into sci-fi or whatever, you just kind of skipped it for that, I'd say check this one out. I mean, it's got some scary sequences in here, and I'm not going to give anything away because it's one of those movies you don't want to give any kind of spoilers. I enjoyed it. I talked to Olivia afterwards, and she kind of had the same feel that I did. We both liked it. We both really liked it. We didn't love it. I think we kind of went in, I guess because of the hype, I think we both kind of went in with a little higher expectations. But it's still one of those movies that kind of works its way into your brain that you'll be thinking about for a day or two afterwards. So it's definitely worth watching. I would not recommend it to somebody because it's worth seeing, and it's got some great visuals. So if you go, you're not wasting your money going to see it in the theater either. But in hindsight, could I have waited for video? Yeah, probably could have.
Plus, you got Movie Pass.
Well, yeah, I got Movie Pass too, so that helps. But I definitely want to read the books this was based on. I believe the book is a trilogy. It's a trilogy of novels, but the movie was written before the other books had come out. So
that's interesting.
There's probably a lot more in the books to explain everything than there was in the movie, because the movie kind of takes a really ambiguous take on the story. So I'm really curious to see how the books kind of flesh all that out.
Very interesting. I will have to check that out. So next on our first chop, I can't believe the first chop is literally still going. This is got to be our biggest first chop ever, and we didn't even touch on the Oscars yet. So this is gonna be. This is like, it might as well just be the chop, and the first chop was our hellos. But so Seth and my brother Seth, who you've heard many a time, I ordered our tickets for that retro picture show. Finally, I'm getting to one of these. Their 3D event, which is the Friday the 13th 3D, Part 3, obviously, Amityville 3D, very appropriate, and Frankenstein's Bloody Terror. And the coolest thing is, so I didn't notice this at first when they announced this, but then I looked, and it's actually it's all in the real 3D technology. So it's none of those red and blue glasses. It's actually done in real 3D technology. So I don't know if, and Friday the 13th obviously was not filmed that way, right, for sure, right? That was done, and that was so long ago. That was the old school glasses, I would think, right? The red and blue.
I guess, yeah. Well, they probably have some way to convert that, I guess.
Yeah, they must have converted. But anyway, yeah. So these are all 3 of these. This triple feature is in real 3D technology, so that should be good. So I'll obviously make sure I tweet out some pics and stuff from that event. It's Friday, April 13th. So what a perfect way to celebrate Friday the 13th, right? So, so I'll definitely give my review of that and tweet from there. And so Civil Gore will be representing at the Retro Picture Show.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, let's give our Oscar thoughts. The Oscars were last night as we were recording this. I, of course, live tweeted the entire show, which was a blast. I was telling Brian before the show how much fun I had doing the live tweets, and we got some good interactivity and response from that. And I will have to say it's one of the safest Oscars I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I thought Jimmy Kimmel did an excellent job as host, but man, you could tell they were scared of doing anything edgy. Like the jokes were fairly tame and mild throughout. The awards, I was shocked because going into this, everybody talked about how this was one of the closest races in years, how everything was up for grabs, and everything played out exactly as we had expected, or at least anybody who has read a lot of the Oscar buzz going into this had expected. I don't know, aside from Get Out for original screenplay, which was a little on the fence whether that one would win.
Yeah.
I don't know that there was a single big upset, which was a little disappointing to me. I like to see at least a couple of upsets in there. There was nothing. I mean, it went right down the line of where I would have placed my money.
Actually, the biggest upset I thought in the evening was that Faye Dunaway's face didn't fall off when she came out to present. That was that was my big upset.
Brian had I wish you guys could have seen, because me and Brian are texting back and forth. Yeah. And Brian was like killing me with Faye Dunaway jokes. I'm sorry. Poor Faye Dunaway.
Yeah, who I happen to love. I love Faye Dunaway. She's
God bless her.
Yeah.
But what was the best joke of the night was, I said, well, The Shape of Water, well, that's pretty predictable. And Brian comes back and says, the only surprising thing was that Faye Dunaway came out dressed as the creature.
Yeah. Yeah. I was tired. I was about 3 beers in at that point. Yeah, so it was the end of a long night, And
you know what my biggest tweet response was? The biggest response was the Dave Chappelle
Yeah,
one.
That was great. That was a classic one.
Which I was like, he really has nothing to do with the Oscars. Yeah. Other than that, he was up on stage for 5 minutes, and that was my biggest response. So that's funny.
Yeah, and it's funny because there were some of these ones that I I kind of texted to Tim because I didn't really I didn't want to sound like we were like these mean, snarky people constantly.
Which we were, but
which we kind of were, but we did both agree that we thought Frances McDormand, the way she was last night, could totally play Pamela Voorhees in a remake of Friday the 13th. Though she had the short hair,
she was terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, like
literally terrifying.
Couldn't you just picture her going, "Thank you, the Academy, and by the way, you were supposed to be watching him. You let him drown." I swear to God, I expected that out of her mouth. But
I told Brian last night, I was like, I feel like she's gonna jump out of the screen and just kick my ass.
Yes. Well, she might have after now. I just said that joke. Maybe she might have.
Yeah. Faye.
Yeah, Faye.
Faye Dunaway. Back to Faye Dunaway.
Yeah, there was a quick. One. Yeah, I did say that. Of course, there was a quick image of Richard Dreyfuss up there though, which was kind of exciting.
There was, and Denzel made an appearance finally. We were trying to get the whole. Towards the night before Krampus cast back.
They were almost all there. Almost everyone.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey was there.
Yep.
I think we were only missing Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah. So should I tell my Matthew McConaughey joke that I read?
Yes.
I read once on Facebook. So
yes.
All right. So basically, it's George Clooney, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Matthew McConaughey were told to make a film. So George Clooney says, "Oh, well, I'm going to direct," and Leonardo DiCaprio says, "Okay, then I'm going to act in it." So Matthew McConaughey says, "Well, okay, then all right. Okay, thank you very much. I'll be here all week."
I love that joke. I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
It's kind of cheesy, but
I told that one to Olivia, and she just it was the biggest eye roll I think I've ever seen her give me in
wow,
God, 16 years of marriage. But she loved it deep down.
Yeah. What was the other Faye Dunaway one I had? I had another good one.
You said I think she's done away with her real face.
Oh yeah. God, what is wrong with me? I was so mean to someone.
You're so mean to poor Faye Dunaway.
And
what has she ever done to you?
Nothing. She's
God.
Yeah, no, nothing really. She's like a great actress. She's been in some of my favorite films. I have nothing bad to say about her other than last night.
You're
apparently.
So cruel. Poor, she's an old lady.
I know. Well, you wouldn't know.
God, no.
But no, I'm sorry. Faye Dunaway. I'm sorry. Watch. She's actually somehow remotely in a weird vortex of life is listening to this podcast now. But yeah, but she's a remarkable actress. So I really have no ill will towards her. Like I said, 3 beers in, end of a long night. These things happen.
Oh man, it was just I don't know. Yeah, it was like I kept getting snarkier and snarkier as the evening went on.
Yeah.
Like I started off with like very proper, like cinematography went to blah 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 blah. And then later on, I was posting,
Tim was like a real critic, and then he just like went off.
And then I was like, best lighting goes to the sun.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a fun thing. Yeah, like Tim and I were saying, we'd love to do like some kind of live, full, complete.
God. And then I started hating on Coco like really bad. I was like,
I haven't even seen it. Yeah, but I
was getting extremely mad at Coco.
Yeah, but come on though, I gotta tell you, I know it, Tim, what you said is probably true. They basically see Pixar song and it's almost a shoo-in to win. But I can't, and I bet you everybody, just the way that they saved the This Is Me from The Greatest Showman, which I loved that movie. I know a lot of people had some issues with it. I loved it. And that song and that performance that blew everyone away.
Oh my God, the Remember Me performance was horrible. The guy was tone deaf.
Yeah, I mean,
I even saw MSN did it like worst of the Oscars, and they listed that performance.
Yeah, like that was the thing. It wasn't even like, I mean, granted, I haven't seen the film yet, so maybe in the film it was much better, but I was like, this is up for best song.
It's like it's literally like a 2-minute song.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
It
but it's like, yeah, I think they had they always seem to throw in some Disney in these things. So, and of course Last Jedi got snubbed in every category it was in.
See, I think Pixar should automatically be like Meryl Streep. Go ahead and nominate her, but don't let her win.
Yeah, she can't win every time,
So
she doesn't
nominate the Pixar movie, but don't vote for it.
Right. And she doesn't need, Meryl Streep doesn't need it. She knows she's good. Just like Pixar. They know they do a good job. They don't need to win.
No. Gosh, give somebody else a chance. They're like the freaking Yankees.
Exactly. And coming from New York, and I'm a Yankee hater, I agree with you, Tim. I tell you.
I was taking a gamble there. I thought, maybe Brown's a
Met
Yankees
fan all the way.
That's what I thought, so I was right. Okay. Well, speaking of the Oscars.
Yeah, considering we went into sports, I think, for the first time in history.
Oh, my God.
Of Civil Gore. Wow.
Yeah.
See what Faye Dunaway's face does to us? Okay, sorry. No. It's terrible.
I had a joke I was about to put in there. I was like, I can't go that cruel. I can't do that.
You can, and then we'll just edit it out if it's really bad.
No.
Okay.
But yeah, seriously though, horror fans had a lot to be proud of last night. You had the guy that played Dracula win Best Actor.
Yes.
You had, of course, Shape of Water has a creature from the Black Lagoon in it, won Best Picture and Best Director. But the big surprise of the evening, the one I was probably the most excited about, was Jordan Peele winning for Best Original Screenplay.
Yes, thank God. I was so happy. It's like, there's certain moments, like in award shows, when, obviously you get invested in something, and you're rooting for them to win. And when that won, I mean, granted, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted it to sweep its 3 main categories. I wanted him to win Best Director. I wanted him to get Best Picture, and I wanted that. But the Best Screenplay, it won. It got something, and it got noticed. Just the fact that it got noticed so well, and it was such a horror movie. Really, was so prominent in the Academy Awards, was awesome. And I mean, Jordan Peele deserves all the credit in the world. I mean, we can say nothing but amazing things about him, and how we can't wait for his next. Whatever he throws out next is just we can't wait for. So it's like good for him, I was so happy that he won.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, speaking of the Oscars, our Best Picture winner is actually first up on our Discmemberment.
Wait, no, please, God, no, don't cut off
These are the Blu-ray releases for March 13th. 2018, Friday the 13th. No, that's Tuesday the 13th.
Yeah, it's Tuesday the 13th. That's going to be just as scary depending on what's going
on. So this one is, of course, The Shape of Water.
Yes, which is my pick of the week, actually, too.
Oh, you know what? My pick of the week's coming up. This probably should have been mine because I love this movie so much. Of course, directed by Guillermo del Toro, starring Sally Hawkins, who I want to pick her up and put her in my pocket and just keep her as a pet.
Yeah, she's so little.
She's adorable. It's like... She's adorable.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's adorable. Even at the Oscars, she was adorable.
Yeah, she was. She was just always smiling.
Yeah, I thought she just was like that for the movie, like she's an actress. But then I was like, she might actually be that woman in real life.
Yeah.
Although not with the fish sex thing.
No, yeah, she probably does not.
She probably does not do that.
She probably has real sex, I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm not going to imagine that right now.
No.
And Michael Shannon, who's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
I love Michael Shannon. Oh, my gosh, I love him.
He's one of those guys, like, whatever he's in, he's great in. You know? It's like...
He's so creepy. I love him to death. He's almost like this generation's Christopher Walken.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought him up. What happened to him?
He got old, dude. He's like old.
But I mean, did he die and no one tell him? I don't know.
That's what I said. He's the Walking Dead.
See, I had to set Tim up for that. But yeah, no, I was like, what? Oh my God. What? Like, I thought I just saw him in something and he didn't look that old. Oh my God.
He looked pretty rough. He did look pretty rough. Of course, you're watching HD with a lot of lighting.
That is true. That is true.
I mean, even Sandra Bullock was making fun of that.
Yeah, she was. But again, it was to set up her best lighting.
Yeah,
joke and your best lighting joke and her best lighting joke too. So you look at that. Tim is on par with Sandra Bullock in terms of
no, but even before
humor.
like on the red carpet, like Olivia was like, Sandra Bullock got old. Like she was looking at her neck and stuff, and she was like, that's why she's wearing that high collar thing because her neck is old. I was like, God,
look at getting snarky right from the beginning. That's not even before the show ended. Wow.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh.
What'd she say about Faye Dunaway?
She was in bed by that point. She doesn't stay up for these things.
Might be better off. That might have gave her a nightmare going to bed.
Yeah. Now, the only disappointing thing about the Blu-ray of The Shape of Water is it only has featurettes. There's no audio commentary and all that. So.
I have a feeling that'll come out with a better version later on.
Yeah, they'll come out with a collector's edition later on. So I'm going to hold off on that one. As much as I love that movie, I think I'm going to hold off.
I can't because I didn't see it yet, and Julie and I were thinking of getting it off of Fios, the video on demand, but I said no. She's like, don't rent. Let's not rent anything you think you'll buy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that one. So we held off. So I have to buy it.
It's worth owning.
Yeah.
Now I forgot to mention it also won Best Score.
Remember?
I talked about it on here how good that score was.
Right,
I was right.
There you go.
I was
Look
right.
at that Tim's prediction.
I'm telling you. All right, the next one up is my pick of the week. That is Suspiria. This is the Synapse version. Of course, Suspiria, 1977, classic. Dario Argento, starring Jessica Harper, Stefania Cassini, and Flavio Bucci.
You were going to say Flava Flav, wouldn't you?
I was about to say Flava.
Yeah, Flava from Costa Radio, yeah.
From Costa Radio.
That's
but
true.
A newcomer to a prestigious German ballet academy comes to realize that the school is a front for something sinister amidst a series of grisly murders. This is one of my favorites, and it comes out, actually this is interesting, they're releasing it in a 2-disc and single-disc edition. Obviously, if you're a horror fan, you're going to want the 2-disc because it has all the extras and stuff. The single-disc edition does have a few of the extras, but I didn't break it down because you're all going to go buy the 2-disc version because Tim told you so. But this one has the 4K remaster. This one is like where they found all the new footage and stuff and blah blah blah.
And currently there's a bunch of Dario Argento films on Shudder right now too. I think Suspiria's on there. A couple of the other ones are, right.
Yeah,
must
be
like
you
just
should go watch
him month.
Yeah, you should go watch all those. They're great on Shudder.
Yeah.
This one has 2 audio commentaries, featurettes, alternate credits. Now there's 2 releases of this. There was another company, the name escapes me at the moment, that also came out with a release of this. I have not sat down and compared the 2 versions, honestly. So I don't know which is the one to get, but this one still just for my pick of the week, in case this is the right one to get.
Yeah,
this is the one I'm going for because it does sound pretty incredible.
Maybe it's Vinegar Macabro.
Yeah, Code Red Syndrome.
Yeah.
The next one up, I had never heard of this film, which I could not believe when I heard that it starred Eric Roberts and James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
And Megan Gallagher, but it's from 1990. It's called The Ambulance. It's a Shout Factory release directed by Larry Cohen. Josh Baker meets a very special woman, Cheryl, in the streets of New York. You got to watch out for those in the streets of New York that you pick up.
Yeah,
right, Brian?
Well, you were there. You saw what was out there.
I saw a lot of Cheryls walking around.
Yeah.
Suddenly, she collapses and she's picked up by an ambulance. When Josh wants to visit her in the hospital, it appears that she hasn't been admitted in the hospital. Josh follows the roommate of Cheryl, and she disappears after a ride in the same ambulance. It's up to Josh to solve the secret behind this strange vehicle.
This synopsis literally sounds like a children's book. Like, Josh
It
Baker
does.
meets a very special woman, Cheryl, in the streets of New York. Suddenly, Cheryl collapses, and she's picked up by an ambulance.
So that's a weird premise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just hope James Earl Jones does his channels his Field of Dreams character where he's just like baseball, in there. And I put, Darth Vader won't fit in here, but maybe that would.
Yeah. This one does have an audio commentary. So somebody sat down and recorded an audio commentary for this. It does have a still gallery, and it just said remaster. They didn't give any 2K or 4K, so
It's 1K.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just ran it through a Photoshop filter or something real quick. Remove dirt filter.
Yeah. Maybe rubbed it on Faye Dunaway's face. I don't know.
Jeez.
I'm terrible. What is wrong with
Faye Dunaway's going to track you down and kill you.
She is. Well, that whole generation, but her, Richard Dreyfuss, the whole group.
Oh, my gosh. She's going to hire another Walking Dead, Warren Beatty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He
was-
didn't look so hot either. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, because Brian and I are so young and can make fun of old people.
Right. I know. Yeah, that's what
Really,
it is. We're
yeah.
getting older ourselves, and we're getting getting
trying to-
snarkier and meaner.
We're trying to fight away the age by making fun of elderly.
Yeah,
people.
apparently. Yes.
Oh gosh. The next one up is a TV season of Fear the Walking Dead, the complete third season. I recently started this one back. I just started the third season actually, and this is one of those shows that I really kind of hate watched for the first season because I really hated it, and I started to kind of grew on me a little bit in the second season, and the third season has really started off where I'm no longer hate watching it. I'm just watching it. So they've turned it around. It's gotten much better.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So this stars Kim Dickens, who I love, Frank Delane, and Cliff Curtis. It's released by Lionsgate. Of course, this is the Walking Dead spinoff set in Los Angeles, following two families who must band together to survive the undead apocalypse.
Now, let me ask you a quick question. Since obviously I know, shame on me, I don't watch The Walking Dead. Do they ever cross into each other at all?
Yes, in fact, there is a crossover. I don't know if it happened in the third season or it's planned for the next season, but Morgan from Walking Dead was going to interact with the cast from Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So they were going to have a tie-in there.
All right.
This one features audio commentaries and deleted and extended scenes. The next one up is one we talked about last week, actually, The Crazies from 1973. That's the one I had watched the remake recently. This one's released by Arrow, directed, of course, by George Romero, starring Lane Carroll, Will McMillan, and Harold Wayne Jones. The military attempts to contain a man-made combat virus that causes death and permanent insanity in those infected as it overtakes a small Pennsylvania town. Featuring a 4K remaster, a new audio commentary, featurettes, and interviews. This actually looks like a really good feature-packed disc.
It does.
I don't know much about the movie, but it's, like I said, this is one of the few Romero films I just haven't seen for whatever reason. But it does sound like a really, really good collector's edition.
Yeah, that was sad seeing his picture up there during the In Memoriam.
We got to mention Tobe Hooper completely shunned.
Also, so was Adam West, they said. Adam
Yeah.
West was missed, and Glenn Campbell, I read, too.
Yeah,
Although he's
Glenn
not
Campbell.
a big, in terms of movies, is big, but
Yeah.
still. I mean, he's...
Well, I think he had won an Oscar for a song, and he had
Right,
appeared
so-
in a movie.
Yeah, what
But
happened?
Tobe Hooper was unforgivable.
Yeah, that's terrible.
my opinion.
Especially on a night that celebrated horror to the extent that it
Yeah.
did. What the heck?
Yeah. The next one up is Unearthed and Untold: The Road to Pet Cemetery. I need to track this one down.
Yeah.
This sounds cool.
I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah, I knew about it because Horror Pack had put it in as an exclusive one time. The DVD
wow.
version, not the Blu-ray, because I think it just came out on Blu-ray. So I had heard about it, but I really want to see it. It's released by Synapse. This one was from 2016, directed by John Campopiano and Justin White, starring Blaze Berdahl, Susan Blomert, and Sean Clark. I don't know how to pronounce these names. This is a documentary looking into the making of Pet Sematary, one of the most enduring cult horror classics of our generation. And this one has an audio commentary and a podcast commentary and featurettes. I don't know what a podcast commentary
Maybe
is.
that's our idea, and someone stole it.
I don't know.
Ahead of us announcing it.
I thought maybe it was It could be one of two things. It could either be the movie plays while there's a podcast. Some podcast talked about it. Maybe sort of like our commentaries.
Maybe,
or it could just be an audio only thing. I don't know. But commentary implies that you're watching the film along with it. So I don't know what that is. It's interesting.
That should be. Or maybe it could be well, I guess with the audio commentary I guess is like that. But you know how like maybe it's something along the lines with remember I was telling you the Goonies did that thing where they actually had the whole cast was lined up at a table like live doing it.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something like that, and maybe that's the difference between, and maybe it was also released as a podcast, so that's why they called it a podcast commentary. I don't know.
Can you imagine somebody commentating on our podcast?
Oh God,
while we were doing it. Like this is where I wish Brian had not made this 15th joke about Faye Dunaway.
I know, and that's that's happening right now somewhere. That's what we should do. We should have someone send us in a commentary of what they think of the podcast. We may not want to hear it, but
yeah. Tim said for the 50th time.
And Brian said fantastic and stuttered and went like this, like I always do because I speak too fast before I make a coherent thought.
It's hard. This is so hard. Yeah. If you heard the raw, uncut version, oh my God, it's rough.
Yeah.
It's really rough. Me and see, I'm right there.
There you go.
Just proved it. Me and Brian are not radio personalities. We have no training in communications, obviously.
Nope.
I don't like speaking in front of people. I'm very introverted. I don't like speaking at all, really. So this is very outside my comfort zone. Yeah,
like I met Tim, but yet like it was about 2 years before we actually had a conversation. Even though I met him 2 years before. No, I'm only kidding. He was. But yeah, no, and it's funny because I have to say, obviously, being coming from a New York and being in a Jewish family, you have to quickly speak or you're not getting a word in edgewise. So sometimes I just blurt out before I'm ready to speak, and it just comes out with a which you hear on there. And Tim covers a lot of it up, much more than I do. But yeah, so it's so that's that. Basically, that's my excuse.
All right, next up is The City of the Dead from 1960. This is a VCI release directed by John Moxey, starring Patricia Jessel, Dennis Lotus, and Christopher Lee.
Well, there's some cred.
Yeah, some cred. A young college student arrives in a sleepy Massachusetts town to research witchcraft. Don't do that. It's always a bad idea.
That just sounds wrong.
During her stay at an Erie Inn, I think that's a Comfort Inn competitor.
It is the Erie Inns, yeah.
Yeah. She discovers a startling secret about the town.
Tim gave the spoiler. No,
I'm jumping ahead to the next episode.
Yeah.
A startling secret about the town and its inhabitants.
Tim, you gave a clue.
I know. I did that on purpose.
Okay, good job.
This one sounds interesting. It's got Christopher Lee in it. I might check this one out.
Yeah, no. This one's, I heard it's got a lot of moxie to it also,
Yeah.
That was bad.
That was bad.
Where's Faye Dunaway when I need her? No, okay.
Well, I don't have a Dunaway, but I do have a runaway. This is Children of the Corn.
That was the best unintentional segue in the history of the podcast.
Moving right along. Just keep it going.
There you go.
Keep it going. Children of the Corn Runaway, direct-to-video 2018, Lionsgate. Directed by John Gulager. Marcy Miller, Mary Catherine Bryant, and Molly Nikki Anderson.
And this won an award for most 3 named people in a movie. I was
about to say, that was a prerequisite.
Yeah, apparently.
3 names.
Marcy Miller actually is the outcast in this whole thing. But she started with an M, so I guess that's a theme, too. Marcy, Mary, Molly. That's like a...
So they're probably like weird triplets. That's why they're in Children of the Corn.
Oh, right, yeah.
So the plot of Children of the Corn, Runaway... Oh, sorry, I'm reading that completely with the wrong... I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Yes. That was on that movie with Michael... what's that one with Gwyneth Paltrow? The View from the Top. Yeah. Julie always watches that movie, and he does that with Mike Myers, like putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable. Yeah. So.
All right, so the plot of Children of the Corn Runaway follows a young, pregnant Ruth who escapes a murderous child
Don't you hate those young pregnant Ruths? They're running rampant all over the place.
I know. Freaking Ruths. Can't keep their pants on.
I know.
Follows a young pregnant Ruth who escapes a murderous child cult in a small Midwestern town. She spends the next decade living anonymously in an attempt to spare her son the horrors that she experienced as a child. She lands in the small Oklahoma town, but something is following her. Now she must confront this evil or lose her child. And literally, the only special feature is a deleted scene.
Yes. That was where Marcy Miller lost her middle name. That's the deleted scene. But yeah, you know what the funny thing is? I see a trend here where she keeps getting into trouble by going to these small towns. Like, how about moving into at least a mid-sized town, maybe a city, something
Move
not
to New
in
York,
the middle of nowhere.
Nobody will ever find you.
Yeah, there you go.
Completely anonymous.
Exactly. And you can get pizza 24/7.
Yeah. The next one up is another George Romero film, Season of the Witch from 1972. This is another great Arrow release. This one starred Jan White, Raymond Lane, and Anne Muffley. There's always one.
Always one,
Brian.
And you always save it for the last one.
Yeah, it's always one. It's always like John Smith, Dave Miller, and
floofy fa floofoo.
Annapolis Kerfufflebopple.
Yes.
A bored, unhappy suburban housewife gets mixed up in witchcraft and murder. See, guys, that's why you don't leave your housewife at home, bored and unhappy.
Don't
she
let
gets
them.
mixed up in witchcraft.
One or the other, either bored or unhappy, but not both.
This one has a 4K restoration, a new audio commentary, featurettes, and galleries. So if you're on a Romero kick, man, there's 2 really good releases this week.
Yeah, and the special features, I think, outlength the synopsis on this one.
Yeah. The last one on our list is called Hideous.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had to say it that way because
Hideous.
there's a big exclamation point.
Big exclamation. This one from, oh man, one of my favorite companies, Full Moon.
Oh.
They did the Puppet Master series.
Yeah.
You gotta love Full Moon. This one is from 1997, directed by Charles Band, starring Michael Citroniti, Rhonda Griffin, and Mel Johnson Jr. This one's for Kevin. Oh my god, this is a Kevin movie.
Oh my god, this totally is, yeah.
A group of rival collectors of severely deformed, freakish human beings and the FBI agents that are investigating them must battle against some of their collections which aren't as dead as they seem. Features an audio commentary and remastered video. I want to track this one down.
Yeah. I bet you can get this one pretty cheap, too.
We have to do the Puppet Master series at some point. That has to be one of our slaycations.
Oh yeah, remember we did kind of say it wasn't going to make it this year, but
probably year 3.
But yeah, year 3 definitely. That'll be probably the number 1. Puppet Master.
They're so cheesy and silly, but all Full Moon stuff has that same kind of tone to it.
Right.
It's just a hoot and a holler, as they say. We have a big theatrical release this week, and this is one both Olivia and I really want to see. And that is, of course, the sequel to The Strangers. I don't know if it's a sequel, but it's a follow-up. The Strangers Pray
They're
at
calling
Night.
it a sequel, though. They're calling it one, so I don't know.
I didn't know if it was like the same Strangers.
Well, remember, Liv Tyler, she technically survived the first one.
Yeah.
So,
I guess I wasn't... obviously it's a sequel in name. I didn't know if it was like a direct continuation or if it was just like a similar type movie with the Strangers branding, I guess.
Well, it looked like the same mask was in it. One of the masks.
It did, yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, I know. Yeah, I don't want to see this too. But Julie actually doesn't think she saw the first one, so I'll have to do I'll have to show her the first one before we go, obviously. So just so she can get the kind of what she's in for, you know.
Yeah, this one seemed to have like a bigger, obviously, like most sequels do, a little bigger scope. Because I think they're in some kind of like RV park or something this time.
Oh. Okay.
Instead of just a single house. So it looked kind of cool. There's like some outdoor sequences and stuff.
Yeah, this I'm looking forward to because the first one was actually really, really creepy. I mean, that was, because that was one of those horror things that could actually happen, and sometimes those are the scariest when, you could actually... because you're like, if this actually happened, like, what would you do? You're in the middle of nowhere, and these people just are deranged, crazy.
I mean, it has happened.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like, stuff like this has happened.
So, I mean, yeah. I mean, so it's like, so just to see it played out on screen is always kind of creepy, because when you can actually envision yourself in the role, like within the movie, like, oh my god, if this happened to me, yes, I mean, you see other horror movies like, maybe if I'm out of a camp and a guy with a hockey mask killing me, okay, it's a little far-fetched that he's going to come back from the dead to do that. But something like this, you could totally this could happen to anybody. And was that the tagline at one point? Like this could happen to you, like in the trailer or something. This could happen to you, or some kind of thing.
I think The Strangers I think they had even claimed at one point it was loosely based on a true story kind of thing.
The famous loosely based, yeah.
I mean, it is stuff. There has been home invasions where people got murdered.
Oh yeah, no.
So I guess you could claim it's loosely based on any of those. So.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's easy to say on that one. Yeah.
So the main feature tonight. So we decided we're kind of playing this loose. Obviously, we could have gone into the annals of Irish horror film and looked at we're just kind of going with we see something cool that was made in Ireland, we're going for it.
Yeah, no, and it's good that way to do it because we end up finding now you had seen Dark Song, I hadn't seen it, so we found a new one that I really liked, and then now this one too, which is another one that I probably would not have put on my watch list. At least anytime soon, and if we weren't doing this, so I'm really kind of glad you had found this one to do because I actually really really like this one.
Yeah, this one is The Lodgers. It actually just came out this year, and it just came out last week, right?
Yeah, it was new. Remember, we weren't even sure we could be able to get it because we had earmarked it when we looked and saw it, or should I say, fear-marked it. But you like that, right? So we were like thinking I knew it was playing in Manhattan. I have the luxury of getting all these crazy art theaters in Manhattan. I mean, you can pretty much find any kind of release is usually somewhere in New York City. Tim, said he might have trouble finding it, but thank God it was released on. It was pretty much video on demand. Amazon had it, iTunes had it. Pretty much most of the outlets you could rent it for. Nominal fee, which was definitely worth it for this movie. So
this is called The Lodgers. It was directed by Brian O'Malley, which is a great Irish name.
Yes.
And he did Let Us Pray, Prey, from 2014. That's his previous horror credit. Stars Charlotte Vega, the great David Bradley, who I absolutely love, and Mo Dunford. And we'll read the synopsis again. We read it last week, but it's worth going through again, kind of give you a plot overview. 1920 rural Ireland. Anglo-Irish twins Rachel and Edward share a strange existence in their crumbling family estate. Each night, the property becomes the domain of a sinister presence, the Lodgers, which enforces 3 rules upon the twins. They must be in bed by midnight. They may not permit an outsider past the threshold. And if one attempts to escape, the life of the other is placed in jeopardy. When troubled war veteran Sean returns to the nearby village, he is immediately drawn to the mysterious Rachel, who in turn begins to break the rules set out by the Lodgers. The consequences pull Rachel into a deadly confrontation with her brother and with the curse that haunts them. So that was a really good synopsis of this film.
Yeah, because it gives you basically everything you need to know without spoiling anything at the same time.
Right, and we're not going to give any spoilers because this one's definitely worth watching.
Yes.
General impressions is what I first kind of want to get our immediate impressions. I really like this one. This one reminded me of the type of movie that my grandmother would have loved. My grandma, I called her Nana. She loved horror movies, believe it or not.
Nice.
Even as an elderly lady, she loved horror movies. And I think, part of my love for horror movies may have come from her. But I remember when she used to babysit us, she'd always say, look on TV, see if there's a scary movie on. And she'd put it on for us. And she told me, she would tell us scary ghost stories and stuff like that. She was just a great, really cool lady. And this is the type of movie she would have loved. She would have loved this kind of gothic ghost story, kind of a classic feeling ghost story that, not with no blood and no guts, that kind of thing. It's just there
really was no gore in it.
No, really, it's just an old-fashioned scary movie, and it's not like The Conjuring or those type of more modern ghost stories that are, a lot of jump scares and a lot of this and that. It's just a very, simply told classic ghost story, which I kind of liked about it. In fact, it reminded me of a lot of Crimson Peak. Is what, not in the terms of Crimson Peak was obviously much bigger budget and more exaggeratedly gothic than this was, but it kind of had that same feel as just like a simple gothic ghost story to me.
Right. Yeah, no, I loved it. The visuals were just, Tim and I, we kind of, just the description, remember we kind of said, we're going to like that just because of the whole rural Ireland feel, that old. But they did it like really well. And if you think about it, there was very few set pieces to this movie. There was the house, the little town, and the thing, and the woods. And so it like they played it off, and well, you know, the lake setting, but they played it off really well to the point of where you kind of like they established that you kind of got familiar with the land almost. So you got the feeling that you were kind of really encompassed into it a lot, and it kind of drew you in, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it had a very speaking of the like cinematography and everything, it's a very dreary looking film. That doesn't mean that it's feels slow paced or dull, but yeah, it's a very somber toned film. It's very bluish and grayish, and there's just this heavy, well,
yes,
obviously intentional. So it felt very claustrophobic to me, even though there's outdoor sequences and the like. That gray, overcast atmosphere kind of added to the feeling of oppression, which kind of what these brother and sister are living under. Is this oppression that they can't escape. Right,
and it's like, they have this, like, obviously the sister is a little more, she's kind of, definitely has more of the escape mentality. Like, the brothers kind of just resigned to the fact that that's their lot in life, there's nothing they could do, where she's she wants to break out of this thing that they're trapped in. Like she doesn't buy it. She thinks that they can escape, whereas the brother's like, no, there's no escape of this. This is our lot in life now. So I kind of like that. There's that dynamic that they play off each other. They're essentially twins, and the twins are supposedly always like, oh, they have this this togetherness and stuff. But this is funny how they'll totally veer off in opposite directions in terms of the way they approach this thing now as they're nearing their 18th birthday. So
right now, this one was filmed in one of Ireland's most haunted houses called Lofton Hall. So this was actually filmed in an actual crumbling manor, which is what they're living in the movie. This was not really a set piece.
Yeah, I hope that the DVD, the Blu-ray release of this, I hope they do like a behind the scenes, a little like mini doc on the filming of this, because this would be I could see this being a great behind the scenes featurette on basically how they got to film there, and if there was any stories that the cast told, when they had the like of them being actually freaked out by being in like a supposed haunted area. Those things are really cool.
Yeah, now let's talk about the actors. The sister, Rachel, is played by Charlotte Vega. She had not been in much that I recognized.
And that's a shame. Because she's got like that gorgeous face and that really good, she had the good vibe of the character she was playing. It was very genuine that she was trying to, she felt like she literally was in this plight. It's like, it was a really good performance.
Yeah, and the brother Edward is played by Bill Milner, who was also in Dunkirk.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even see that movie yet, but I know I saw him in something. Like, I must have seen enough of the clips of that movie that I must have saw him in it.
Yeah, I was kind of trying to scratch in my brain like where I had seen him before, but that must have been it. And I'm also going to mention Mo Dunford, who appeared with our next actor, David Bradley, in Game of Thrones. He just played a simple messenger, but it was kind of funny because David Bradley, of course, played Walter Frey in Game of Thrones. So it was cool that they got a little Game of Thrones mini reunion there on the set.
And he was Filch.
Yeah, he was Filch in Harry Potter, of course.
And he almost seemed Filchish in this movie when he like approached.
He did.
Did you think he was gonna he's like, Mr. Potter? I thought that's what he was gonna say, but he didn't.
But I will tell you, my favorite role of his, recent role of David Bradley, is Satrakian in the Strain television series.
Oh, if you haven't seen that.
Yeah, he is phenomenal in that role. He is so good. And doesn't really look like himself. So I think he has like a beard and a mustache and stuff in the Strain. But, when you're used to seeing him from Game of Thrones and Harry Potter, he kind of looks the same. But it's kind of a different take. In fact, I didn't realize it was him when I first watched The Strain, way back when I was first watching the first couple of episodes. I didn't realize until later that was who it was. So, but he's really, really good in this. He plays the quote unquote evil real estate guy who's basically coming after their estate because they're behind in their debts. So
among their other problems, they're also in debt.
yeah, of course. But it's just a really cool ghost story. The 3 rules thing is kind of interesting. There's a little nursery rhyme song.
Yeah, which had a creepy little song to it.
It's kind of creepy. So I really like the premise of it, and it kind of plays out as a more of a classic ghost story. But I really liked it. It's kind of unassuming. It's probably like Brian said, it's probably one I probably wouldn't have even looked at if not for this series we're doing. But I ended up coming away really enjoying it. It kind of reminded me of The Woman in Black as well in terms of feel.
Yeah. I mean, it just visual. You know, when a movie can capture the feeling so visually without, you know, it really just makes all the difference. You know, if they had that movie and still had the great performances and you know the underlying dread going on in there, but had a cheap looking set, that would have probably taken you out of the movie. But the fact that the set and visuals were so authentic, I think really, really helped. It was almost a character in itself, that house. The character, in fact, the house and the lake itself seemed to be like almost characters, you know, that those set pieces were just so powerful, I think, that it really that really like cemented the movie together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got some really creepy imagery in it. The effects were really good. So it's not going to be one of those that just blows you out of the water. With
no pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah. That was unintentional, but it's not. I mean, it's not like one of those that I'll probably, you know, if you ask me in a couple years, will I remember the name of it? Probably not. But I did definitely enjoyed watching it, and it's worth seeing. I don't think it's going to go down as a classic or anything, but it's a nice little entertaining hour and a half, so I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I think it'll probably soon. It'll end up probably on Netflix and Amazon Prime for free. So if you don't feel like
it kind of has that feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it'll be on there soon, and I think it'll be one of those ones that just kind of get like pretty much everyone that sees it will give it a good rating. But it just won't, for some reason, it just won't have that. Won't go down in history. Like I don't think it'll have the legs to kind of stay on people's minds, maybe. But and it's not a knock on it in any way, because
no, it's just a very old-fashioned film. It's not what you're currently seeing in terms of the horror movies that get all the hype on Netflix and stuff. It's just
and I think that's where it would suffer in terms of that. But yeah,
right. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a period piece, so it's going to be a little niche-y.
But see, that's what we're here for. We're here to tell you to make sure you see it.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So the beer pairing for this week, this was brilliant, Brian. This was like one of the best beer pairings you could have come up with.
Thank you. Yeah,
this was awesome.
And this is funny. I actually found this right before I went to this new market that had a really good beer selection we found, and they happened to have it there. So it's by DRACULA Brewing Company. They're in Baltimore, Maryland. They're pretty well distributed, DRACULA. I mean, most beverage places will have it in bottle shops and stuff. Like, I don't think it's that hard to get. I know that the name escapes me now, but DRACULA has one beer that's pretty prominent. I see it all the time. But anyway, this one is called the Rule of Three, which, as Tim said, that really perfectly was great, fit for this movie. And what is a dry hop? Actually, a triple, 3 times dry hopped double IPA. Tim and I love our IPAs. This one is actually really, really good, really nice. And I'll read you the description that Beer Advocate had for it. So it said, as our third 16-ounce double IPA can release, we were compelled to obey the rule of 3 by triple hopping with the 3 varieties of hops: Centennial hops, Citrolupulin powder, and Simcoe lupulin powder. So the trio results in a golden balance between citrus and passion fruit, earthiness and pine, and berry and melon. Would order multiple pints, probably like 3. So that's a good write-up
that
there.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, it is really good. Tim and I are trying to plan one of our coaster meetups down the road there. So if we get to that, I'll have to I'll pick you up one, bring that to you, because this one was really, really delicious.
Nice. Well, it's time for our 6 degrees of decapitation. Last week, we asked you to connect Catherine Walker to Sarah Wayne Callies.
And not the Sarah Wayne Callies that works at the pizza place near Tim.
Not the one, no, not the waitress at the pizza place, the real one. And so this one, Brian got in 3 steps. So Catherine Walker from A Dark Song, of course, was in Conspiracy of Silence with Chris O'Dowd. Chris O'Dowd was in Epic with Emma Kinney, and Emma Kinney was in a film called Bittersweet with Sarah Wayne Callies.
So there's your three, and I don't know who Emma Kinney is, but she was strong enough to be the link we needed.
Now, this one is pretty hilarious. So Brian had to come up with, this is kind of a no-name movie. I mean, not no-name, but it's not a well-known film by any means.
Right.
So who are you going to connect it to?
Right.
Well,
yeah, so I had to go to some link.
To some link. So Brian goes, you know what? What better person to connect Charlotte Vega to than 80s sitcom star Mrs. Garrett herself, Charlotte Rae from Facts of Life?
Visually, they look absolutely alike in no way whatsoever. So
I would not want to see Charlotte Rae in the state of undress that I saw Charlotte Vega.
No, in fact, I was rooting for more Charlotte Vega, but we didn't. We got what we got. But but Charlotte Rae, I mean, definitely did not want to. I'm glad they did not swap roles in any. I used to do a Charlotte Rae impression. I used to do a Mrs. Garrett impression. I cannot do it anymore. My voice, I can't get high enough anymore. Well, you need to work with it. And now I apologize because I know like the previous 6 Degrees of Decapitations were pretty, pretty solid, pretty horror themed. But the way I look at it is, you take the good, you take the bad. So,
I was about to complete it, but I didn't.
Oh, you could have.
I grew up. I remember, Different Strokes came on, and then immediately afterwards, Facts of Life would come on.
That was one of the back in those days. Spin-offs of sitcoms were so commonplace. Like, what was it? Like, was it Soap that had or Mary Tyler Moore that had? Yeah, because Mary Tyler Moore had Lou Grant and Rhoda from it. Soap had Maude Benson. Yeah, I mean, it was so commonplace to do that. Now it's they do it, but back then it was a lot more common. How many spin-offs? Joni Loves Chachi and
Mork and Mindy was a spin-off of Happy Days.
Right, Mork and Mindy were Happy Days. Laverne and Shirley was Happy Days. Yeah. I mean, so some of these legendary shows. So it's kind of funny. We laugh at like the choice of Charlotte Rae, but she will go down in history. I don't know about Civil Gore history.
I love Facts of Life. I love that show. God, I had a huge crush on Blair. Who didn't?
Oh my God, who didn't? Right?
Yeah. And kind of everybody kind of liked Jo too, even though she was kind of tomboyish.
I think she had that like.
I think everybody had a little bit of a Jo crush.
You know why? Because I think, as we're growing up there, our hormones are raging, and she probably looked like the easiest one to get in the sack.
Probably, yeah.
She was a rebel.
She was the bad girl. That's true.
Yeah. She probably was pretty experienced by that point. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
We don't know. We're in weird territory here.
Yeah, we're getting kind of weird. Okay, so this week connect Charlotte Vega to Charlotte Rae. That still cracks me up.
Just saying it. You can't even
say it right. But anyway, that's bizarre. And it's possible. And it's not as many steps as you would think. That's what's funny about it. Yes,
it's amazing how fast you can get there.
I know. Oh, my God. We're going to have to get...
It's really...
I don't know how you make them any harder, though. Connect this obscure Irish horror star to the lead in Facts of Life. To Mrs. Garrett. I don't know how you do it.
And the funniest thing is, like... Here's the funny thing is like when I went into this, I said, what the heck am I going to connect these two? Like, I'm like, I don't want to do the obvious like David Bradley and his Harry Potter because he's been in too much. It'd be too easy probably for him to get places. So I'm like, all right, Charlotte Vega, here's she could be an up and coming thing. I think she was so good in this that, she may get some attention and horror cred and she's attractive and she could, good actress. She could really be there. So we'll get her now while she's early. But I'm like, who's the last person on earth you'd probably think of, but that's still connected? And I'm like, what Charlotte do I know? And I'm like, well, there's, going through the horror. There's Charlotte Rampling,
Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, sure. What's the one? She was in The Golden Child. Charlotte, the other actress. She was in Embrace of the Vampire. That the actress, her name was Charlotte. So I was like, no, I'm going back further. Yeah, I'm going to the bowels of
the 80s.
Obscurity, and I came up with Edna Garrett. Yeah, you need to work on that because you need to maybe debut that for a 50th episode.
Charlotte Lewis.
Yes, that was it. Charlotte Lewis. Yes, there you go.
I don't know if I can't get that. I can't get that high anymore. I used to do a very naughty impression of Mrs. Garrett. It was
naughty, Miss. Boy, you took that even worse.
It was naughty, Mrs. It was not. It was. Yeah,
I thought our
Mrs.
discussion
Garrett.
of Joe and Blair was already too risque enough for that podcast, and then now you go and.
I used to do an impression of Miss Garrett, in an act of
Coitus.
Of coitus, yes, Mrs. Garrett in coitus. I used to do an impression of.
I
that.
bet you never thought you'd heard that sentence. Although the "don't mess with the Zohan" kind of went there. So
yeah, so
there you go. Tim is not the first. Adam Sandler tackled it first.
Yeah, but anyway, maybe that's where I got it from. I don't know.
You never know. I think you should work on it and try and get it. We did get Cody had a request to do some wrestling stuff, but I have that actually maybe possibly worked into something for next week. So we'll save it for next week.
Well, I'm going wrestling with my son next weekend, so I'll have a report on that too.
Next week, we might as well prepare you now, Kenny. That might be like a 2.5 hour show. It could be really long.
Who knows?
The movie we have picked itself is pretty decent at length, and it's not one we're gonna want to. It is our 50th episode. It is a movie that was always on our radar. We're not gonna want to do a quick 2-minute thing, and it's one that we can probably go. I mean, that if you haven't seen it.
Oh, we'll go full spoilers. Yeah, we're going full spoilers.
Yeah, we're going full spoiler. So that'll have a lot to talk about with it. So I don't think So be prepared next week. Just block off like half a week for this, and plus, maybe you want some when we do give you the link to Charlotte Vega to Charlotte Ray, it may just bring back some old weird memories anyway. Again, Charlotte Ray mentioned 2 weeks in a row on a horror podcast. You just don't get that from every horror podcast.
No, you don't. Our unpredictability is the only thing predictable about us, right?
Exactly. And I think we're going to give a prize away next week, right? We're going to give a piece of Faye Dunaway's face.
Stop it! Stop it!
Sorry. I'm sorry. I can't resist.
Anyway, it's a Dunaway giveaway.
Yeah.
So,
boy, Tim's quick with those wrap-ups.
Speaking of the 50th episode, we need your help. We need you to send in MP3s to civilgorepodcast@gmail.com. Send us a recording. You can record a simple audio message on your phone and mail it in, or record it on your computer if you got a microphone. Mail it in to us, civilgorepodcast@gmail.com. Just a little hi, how you doing? This is what I like about the show. This is what I hate about the show, or just whatever you want to say. You could do your best Charlotte Ray impression. We don't care.
There you go. Yeah, even if you want to come in and say, leave Faye Dunaway alone.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's like, But let me just go on the record again. I think she is one of my favorite actresses out there. I have no ill towards her. It's just all in comedy.
Yeah, he's lying. He hates Faye Dunaway.
No, I don't. She was in a whole bunch of my favorite movies,
But, Cody already sent in her MP3.
She did a great one.
She sent in an entire episode.
Pretty much. Now. We could just play hers, and there's the hour. Yeah, no, just kidding, Cody. No, it was awesome. Great job.
Very, very appreciated. So, we're going to have that one, and we're going to have audio files from all of our friends who are going to send them in immediately after they hear this. Right?
Yeah, and if not, they're not our friends anymore.
That's right. I better have one for my brother.
Yeah. I expect a killer one from him. Yeah. And, speaking of that, I made to make sure Seth is on his. And I know I got some from I know Steve Cohn is working on one. Our good friend Steve Cohn about he'll probably sneak in a news report about video games in there, but still.
This is shameless back patting.
Yes, what this is. It is. But also, I should mention again that by now I posted it on Monday. This day we're recording. So by the time this episode is released, hopefully you guys have seen it. But we did our little unboxing of those little mini horror mates to try and find a cool little like Civil Gore icon. And right now it's Cthulhu, Pennywise, and Carrie, and Cthulhu's in the lead, which I'm impressed because I was like that was the one I was like, I wonder if we'll get that, but he seems to be getting all the play. So we did get a vote for Carrie though from Kevin, so that's good. Yeah. So we'll see. But right now, Cthulhu's in the lead, I'll tell you.
Yes, go out there and vote on the one you want to see in our travels, because he's going to be taken everywhere. Or she.
Yeah.
Or she.
Or she.
Could be Carrie.
Or it. I don't know what Cthulhu is. Is it a he? I guess, yeah.
We'll call him a he. We got a he, a she, and an it.
Yeah, he, she, and it. Oh, perfect. Yeah, there you go. He, she, and it. So pick, do you want to vote for he, or she, or it?
Yeah. And Brian and I decided we get votes too, so.
Yeah, so we're voting also. So, yeah, so, it's funny. Tim and I already have the same pick, which we will not reveal yet because we want to make it dramatic and announce. But, I mean, now I should preface, just because there is a winner doesn't mean the other two may not make appearances. And I plan to buy a couple of more of these because now I'm kind of, which is why I was hesitant, I got to say, because I am a sucker for being a completionist, which is why I own Paul Blart too, as I mentioned before. So now that I've gotten 3 of these, I got the bug, and I'm like, it was fun. I like that surprise. You don't know what you're getting. So, and the fact that I went 3 for 3 of 3 different ones, I'm like, all right, I'm on a good ratio. Watch now, I'll buy the next one. I'll get like 3 Cthulhu's again. Now,
is there any chance? Can you feel the pack and kind of get some sense of which one is in there?
Yeah, well, you can move around, and except the thing is, they do a good job of kind of like, there is a little poster inside that they show all the ones you could get kind of wrapped around it. So you really got to manipulate the bag a little bit to kind of to get in there. But I got to tell you, I was convinced I had Jason in there based on, which I assume is I think it was the Cthulhu one, because I felt like these, it was a rounded head, it was some bumpiness, so I thought that was the mask. But obviously I was wrong. So, yeah, but so guys, if you thought they were cool, though, I know we're a little slow to these because I think these came out like a year or two ago anyway, but I noticed GameStop still has them. You can also order them online. I think Barnes & Noble sells them in the store, but also you can buy those online also. But I think the only thing is with them, I think you have to buy a whole box. So pretty much you're going to probably guarantee to get them all that way. And there's some really cool ones in there. There's like a Lydia from Beetlejuice in there. There's, Freddy, Jason, Pinhead, Michael Myers. So it's some really cool ones in there. It's just a cool little idea. And I think there's another series of these coming out. I think we mentioned it in our Toy Fair update. But yeah, so I'm going to get them. And obviously I posted my picture of my new Jason. I probably should have put this in the first shop, except it was already 92 topics already.
Yeah.
But I did get that. I picked up that Part 6 Jason, and I had to go back twice because they gave me one that was broken. Because I opened it up. I wanted to display it on my podcast desk. And as you could see, I don't know if you saw, by the time this is recorded, you'll have seen this picture where he tried to attack my microphone and try to slash it. I don't think he was pleased that he hasn't really been mentioned since our summer slaycation. So
yeah, but
so that's where we are now. So I will, those are cool. You know what it is? I had to get the fact that that cool Crystal Lake set is coming out. That got me inspired, and Tim's excitement of getting them all. So I think I'm going to start hunting them down. I actually found some of the older ones pretty cheap on, I think it was Toys R Us. It was like regular price, like $24 for the older ones. So I'm going to look into that and get them. And then one guy, I think on eBay had a set of the 3 of them. But now I'm kicking myself because I saw that there was a special 2-pack. I think it was one of the Comic-Cons that came with Baghead Jason and Pamela Voorhees.
Oh,
and
man.
that thing now is going for like $350 opened.
Wow.
So I have Tim's plight of it's like the version of his box set of Friday the 13th. So now it's like I'm literally gonna, that's one of the things. I'll feel it'll be the final piece to my collection. I'll just one day splurge on that thing, but or maybe it'll just plummet. Maybe they'll come out with single release because I think they're re-releasing the Baghead Jason. I saw.
I'll have to get that one
somehow.
That's one of my favorites.
So well, if we figure it out, we'll let you know. I'm still waiting for the Faye Dunaway figure. But,
it was too scary to put on store shelves.
Yeah.
Tim. They had to put a bag on her head. So.
Oh, see, Tim. Now, why are you being so mean? You didn't hear me say anything like that all night. So at least I didn't try to cover her face. I just made fun of it. No, look at it.
Oh my! It's just too easy. I don't know.
No,
wow,
I know. We love Faye.
We love you, Faye Dunaway. If you're listening,
yes. Please come on the show and not kill us. Okay.
All right, guys. So we'll see you back here next week. I don't know what our film's going to be next week, but we'll come up with something good for St. Patty's Day. Oh wait, next week's our 50th anniversary episode. Whatever.
We know.
So we don't know. So we don't. Yeah, we know that one. We don't know our next one following that though.
Yes.
So we'll come up with
well, I think we have one idea we were playing around with that was, remember, it was actually going to be instead of the lodgers, but then we found out that we could get the lodgers able to be viewed, so we pushed this one back. I assume we just go back with that one.
Yeah, it will be Irish and it will be horror. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. Should we mention it or just wait?
I don't know. Yeah, you can mention it.
Yeah, so we're gonna do Stitches. If you guys haven't seen that, so that's a good way because now you have 2 weeks to actually track it down. I think it's still on Netflix or Shudder or Prime, one of them. I know I saw it the other day on going through stuff. So it's one of them. That is a great little horror film.
Yeah.
And if you're afraid of clowns, this one's not gonna help you there.
Nope. This one, definitely will.
But it's
work.
definitely on the comedy slant. They do a definitely comedic slant.
Yeah, but it's very dark comedy.
Yes, dark comedy, but still, this was what I was glad. Tim actually had told me to watch this a while ago, actually, and I watched it right away, and it was definitely paid off. So that'll be a fun one. So you have 2 weeks to watch that one, but in between, of course, you will get our 50th episode, which we're excited to do because I think we're just gonna have a lot of fun with it. So,
yep. All right, guys, we'll see you back here next week.
Later.